Hello. I'd like to take a few minutes to show you a complete workflow of making changes to a project that you are a member of within the Good Docs project. This will allow you not only to kind of keep all your information and updates in the project, um, but will also make it a lot easier for others in the project to collaborate with you in those working branches to resolve those issues and review those merge requests and kind of keep it all in one place. In addition to that, I'll show you how to use a tool called Gitpod, which I have installed a extension for in my browser, which really just kind of adds some little Gitpod buttons here and there to help launch the environment in the proper context to make it really easy to edit and live preview your work as you're making changes to the content on the website. So the best place to start always is an issue, just to describe the kind of work that you need to do in the project. And so I noticed while I was looking through this that the quick start um, update, we need to update the heading levels in the quick start uh, guide. Okay, so they're kind of like two H1s in the final product, and we don't want that. So I'll assign this to me. I plan on doing the work. You could leave it unassigned if it's just work to be done, and eventually somebody's maybe will pick it up and work on it. And so in here, I'll go ahead and find the Chronologue working group here. I got that, and I will create this issue. So now there's a new issue in the system for the Chronologue that I created. And from this issue page that automatically loads, you can click the button here to create a merge request. And what happens with this is it'll take the number of the issue, 29 in this case, and the title of the issue and make a new branch based on the number and the title and bring you right into creating a new merge request to merge that new branch into main. So as soon as I click that button, I already have the branch in the repository um, and um, and it brings me into the new merge request creation with an auto description. And what's nice about this is it says it'll close number 29, which is the issue, to update the heading. So as soon as this merge request is approved and merged, and the branch is merged into main, that issue will be closed. It will be marked as like resolved, right? I'll assign this to myself too. I plan on working on it. The label is still here. And then here at the bottom, you have a couple of merge options. I always recommend leaving this top one unless for some reason, I can't think of a good use case for this, but if there's some reason you want to persist some branch past it being merged into main, um, you can uncheck the box, but otherwise, usually best practice is to clean up after yourself. When the branch is no longer being used because you've done all the changes you need to make and they're in main, then just that should be deleted. So leaving that will do that automatically for you. The last one here to squash, I think it's really good to squash if you have multiple commits to the same branch. If you only have a single commit, adding a squash commit to squash a single commit doesn't really make sense. It's a little bit redundant. But if you have 2 or 30 commits, you don't really want to bring all those commits into main. You really probably just want like one commit that says all of this work was done to resolve this issue. Every commit you made is kind of all bubbled up into a single commit that's the squash commit, and it all comes over as one kind of one unit of work, which is good. It kind of keeps your main branch a little bit cleaner. So I usually leave those both checked by default, assuming I'll make more than one commit. Maybe I won't in this case, so I may not need to squash it. So once I've created the merge request, which you can see here, it kicks off an automated system to create a deploy preview of this branch for this merge request. And so that's happening right now. You can see it's still processing. This will automatically update when it's finished. And at the very top, you can see that I requested to merge this new branch into main. At this date, there's no changes yet. There's no commits yet. It'll close number 29, and you can see the deploy preview is already finished. So if I just go take a look at this right now in a new tab, you can see here's the quick start guide, and you can see here getting started is H1, and then this title is also H1, which it shouldn't probably be here. This probably should be like H2, or you could even get rid of this altogether and just start with overview, and maybe move this up into the getting started. So there's some options here how you want to do that for structure, but in this case, I'm just going to do a quick like heading level update, and then somebody else can sort that out if they want it to be different when they edit it. So this is kind of just for the demo here. I'll go ahead into the branch now So now I'm in the context of the branch. And when I'm in this context, I get this Gitpod button. And if I click that, it's going to launch a new workspace with these settings. Now I checked the box here on a previous launch that said just go ahead and auto start with the same settings every time. So it just remembers it and does that for me. It's launching Gitpod. And what's nice about this is just a VS Code editor in the browser in the context of the branch that I just launched it within and using my credentials. So whatever permissions I have personally to this branch or this project, it knows who I am. I'm authenticated to Git to through Gitpod to GitLab through my um, credentials because I authenticated myself to Gitpod with my GitLab credentials. So um, that worked. So here we go to the quick start guide. Here's a live preview that kicked off automatically. So this is the deploy preview. This is built based on what's currently in the branch in the repository. This is actually like my working live preview. So I'm going to close the deploy preview for now. I'm going to pull this out to the side. All right. And I'll bring the editor over on this side. So I'm just kind of using my shift key or my Windows key and left arrow to snap it over here. And I want to make some changes to this. So if I go to content, docs, quick start, this is the content for that. Here's getting started with Chronologue. Um, Here you can see a little bit of text under the title, right? So that, and now I probably don't need this even in here because I know um, that that's already there, right? And so now if I save this, oh, you can see I've got an extra space there at the end of the line. There's some like markdown tips that are happening here that are giving me some information. So let me go ahead and save. And as soon as I save, you can see that little title got out of there. And now I don't have the issue with the heading level one, um, that there's more than one H1 essentially in the rendered document because I'm getting this already. So you can see now there's on this document, on this page, you can kind of pop down a table of contents and see all of the bits in here, right? So I kind of resolved that heading issue. Now, if I wanted a H1 up here or another little like note or warning or something like that, I probably want to make that an H2, and then all of these would have to be H3s. But I think the change I just made is the intent of this document that we have a title getting started with Chronologue, which is set up here. Um, then a table of contents and some little information text. Now I kind of don't like how close this is. That could be another issue, or I could work to resolve it now. I'll go ahead and just leave it alone because I want to make this simple. And then this says this should test the template, explains how to find it and view it before using it replete. And in fact, I don't even know. Yeah, I guess this is good information. Maybe even this should like go in the overview. I do notice here, part one, part two, part three, we want to kind of make each piece, um, you know, clean. So we're getting rid of all these markdown issues, spaces after things like that. I'm just going to do a quick review here, clean up a few things that look funky or that are being complained about. Here's a bunch of spaces. There's one, some sub-steps. There's recommending some things. Go ahead and get rid of that and give ourselves a space that's proper markdown and then a new line at the end. All right, cool. So now I will save this and that automatically updated everything here. Um, it might be nice here to say we could add that text back in here, right? I don't know. We'll leave it in there just because it was content that somebody already had that. All right, so I'll save that. That saves it, or those changes have been updated. And notice how as I save this live updated, the nice thing about that is that I can even share that. So if I click on ports here, I can see that this is private. If I click this little lock to unlock it and make it public, if I share this URL to anybody in the world, they can see the exact same thing I see. And if I make a change and save it, it'll update for them and me the exact same way. And that's really helpful if you're trying to work with somebody remotely and you're saying like, here, let's work on this thing together. Okay, I'll be making changes. What do you think? Oh, well, this line, let's get rid of this. And let's get rid of this here and we'll save this back to the way it was. And that cleans up right there. They would see the change too. Like it's instant everywhere. So that's a really nice benefit to working in this live preview setup here with Gitpod. All right, I'm going to leave that in there. I'll save it again, throws that text back in. And now I have some changes. I've got a update to package JSON. That's good. I actually want to do that. Um, I didn't do that last time, so we'll stage that. And then really this is just something here, the quick start. We can click on that, check it out, see the changes we made all the way through the document, which is nice. I'll go ahead and stage that, and I'm just going to say updated quick start with by, let's say this, we'll say removed title H1 from we did that, and then on the next line I'm just going to say updated package lock. Normally you wouldn't need to do this. That actually happened just because in the last commit I updated the package and didn't update the package lock. I didn't rerun the npm install to like get all the updated stuff. So I'm just adding that in. That's also something that happened. Let's say from prior change. And these are just little commit notes, commit messages for people to know like what the heck just happened in that. So that's done. I just committed it. Now I want to sync those changes. So there's a nice little button to do that. You could also click sync here. There's some other places to like sync in here, so um, that's done. And now I'm done working. So I can close the live preview. I'm going to get rid of that. And that commit should have actually just triggered. If we go back to our merge request, we can kind of see here it might still be processing. It's pretty quick, so we'll see. Oh yeah, it's still processing. So that changed, now it's updated. So if I come in here and take a look, I can actually share this. Anybody can see it in the MR and go, okay, what happened in the quick start? Okay, and then reload on that because I already had that open earlier. So I pulled in the latest here and I get the update that I made. So it looks a lot better. This workspace is ephemeral, like I said, you don't need that. So I'm just going to go over here and stop the workspace. I don't need any more to do anything else with it. If I want to relaunch, I can go right back into that branch again and just launch a new workspace and start working on it. Right. Now there's some unresolved threads. So Eckline is giving me some additional tips. It's saying like, consider rephrasing your sentence to remove parentheses for improved readability. Okay, that's a thing. I'm not going to do that in this case. I'm going to go ahead and resolve that. What's the next one? Let's see. The next one is again same deal. I'll resolve that. It's a nice suggestion. And assumes you have knowledge. Okay, so this maybe we would want to do that in general. Use an active voice instead of passive is intended. So maybe that's a good tip. I might leave that open. In this case, I'm going to resolve it. I'm going to leave it as it is. Feel free to use it's instead of it is. So it is it's. Okay, good suggestion. I'm going to let it go. When you use a colon, the word that follows should be in lowercase. Okay, where's that happening? Oh, well, this is like special syntax. This information source is a way of in this docs system to be able to make like a little icon for like information. So it doesn't really apply to this. In this case, I'll resolve that. And then again, idea instead of concept. Okay, that's a nice like ideas. So I'll resolve it. I'm not going to apply that. Idea again, same thing. Okay, so I've gone through and I've resolved all of the suggestions from Eckline. I have all of my resolved, all the threads are resolved, everything's good here. Now I need an approval for this. So I'll go ahead and ask somebody here in Slack if they can take a look. Okay, so I've just made a request to my person. I could also assign a reviewer here and maybe I'll do like Lisa, right, who would get a notification of that to review and approve. And so this will be pretty quick usually. But at this point, I would wait for approval. And once I have approval, then I'll be able to merge. Right now, I cannot merge or close the issue or do anything because um, I made edits. Somebody else in the project, that's part of our merge rules. Somebody else in the project has to review and approve it. So wait a second to see if I can get it. All right, I'm going to pause. All right, so we got the approval that we were waiting for here, and it now says ready to merge. So I can delete the source branch and squash. Now, if I notice, I only have one commit here. So squashing one commit doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm going to go ahead and undo that, and then it'll just use the commit, the single commit that I made to add to main, and everything is approved. I can check all of that. I can see everything that's going on here, the whole history, and I'll just go ahead and click merge now. And now this branch will get merged, it will get deleted, the issue should be closed. So you can see here that it merged to main with that commit, it deleted the source branch and it closed this. So if I was actually able to come over here and take a look at this issue, we'll see that that's closed and was resolved by this merge request. So that's the whole process. Now, the difference I could have done here, when I was in that branch, I could have cloned the project down, worked on that branch locally, committed from my local copy of it up into, made commits and then pushed those up to the remote copy of the branch and done sort of a similar workflow. The nice thing about doing a lot of this in the UI, um, you wouldn't get the live preview like you get in Gitpod. You'd have to set up your own environment to run that, and you'd have to keep your copy up to date. The nice thing about using Gitpod is it's just whatever the state is. Like if I'm in a particular branch and I launch from there, I get that. If I go to main and launch, I get main. If um, I could launch an environment off of main, make a new branch there, commit that, push that branch to remote and do it all. It's very flexible that way, just kind of depending where you want. You get your live preview and all of that. So um, hopefully that's helpful. Now we're back to just being back up here at the Chronologue Docs level. We can see that remove title H1 from quick start is the last commit. That was the commit that was in my branch that just made it over. I didn't make a special squash commit for that to resolve like the issue with a whole bunch of other commits. And this should update, and we should see that in the quick start. Now, one thing that's interesting about this, if we go to the docs, I think it's docs-chronologue. Let's see. Chronologue docs. Actually, I think it's in the, it should just be here at the README. Let me take a look down. Docs theme. Oh, we don't have it in there? No, that's not great. I mean, it's not, this is great instructions, but we don't have yeah, we don't have a link to the actual preview. So that'd be a nice thing to add. But let me look it up in Netlify just to get the actual one. Good docs, chronologue dot app, and that's the one. So if we look in here, the quick start guide, you won't see a page, right? Because if we take a look at that file in content, so we saw it in the deploy preview, remember, but we didn't see it here because if we go to quick start, you can see that this is draft true. And so when Hugo builds the website, if a file like this has draft true or has a future date, like a publish date in the future, it wouldn't normally build that into the production website because you're telling it this is draft, don't build it. So that's another nice thing about the deploy preview and the merge request is that it's not going to be limited by what is or isn't in draft state. Um, it'll have drafts and future posts built automatically. And so this content would have showed up, but maybe we're not ready clearly, right? Like there's some work to do here. So we want to, give somebody the opportunity to finish this and make it. In fact, probably what we should do is get rid of it in the menu here because, while it's here, it links to a dead page. So they probably want to edit the menu to hide it, some other stuff here. So that's another issue. Make an issue to take quick start out of the menu. Or another thing we could do is actually put the quick start, this menu reference in here, identifier quick start in the main menu. We could also look and see where this other shortcut menu is being defined and apply it there as well. So anyway, that's a little bit of a sidetrack, but hopefully this little video has shown you kind of how to create an issue, how to automatically create a branch and a merge request from that issue, how to go into your branch with Gitpod, make edits with live preview, merge those, commit those back to the branch, work with other people on that same branch within the project. Um, Through Gitpod, everybody can launch their own Gitpod and work independently. You can also share that HTML or the live preview with somebody. Now, that live preview is only active or only allowed as long as the workspace is active. So if you shut down your workspace, that URL you gave them won't work anymore because it's not being served. It's all shut down. So that's something to keep in mind. That's good and bad. Like, it's kind of bad if you want to persist it, but it's good if you're like, I'm done working in that space. Anything you would see is not valid anymore. It's not like real. The best thing to then share with somebody would be the deploy preview that you get from the merge request itself. And that's where you would get a more persistent URL that you can share with people that's based on your branch that everybody could be working on together. So it's kind of the, not dependent on anybody's specific workspace. It's whatever's been committed to the branch. All right. Well, with that, thank you. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know, and I'd be happy to help you out. Have a good day.